as a man thinketh. As you think in your heart, so are you. So is your experience. So, if we raise the quality of our thoughts, and by the way, as I said before, God's not mad at you. All those crazy thoughts, it's like nothing. It's like nothing. It's just like, why is my child suffering? Why does my child want to suffer like this? This is the question. Not I'm upset. So, we change those thoughts over time. So a discipline to change our thinking. It's so easy to get caught up in that negative flow. And I had it happen a few times last week where I decided I was justified in my anger. My upset was perfectly understandable, and if I told you the story, you'd be upset right along with me. I even told the story to a couple of people. And they were upset with me. Came right along with me, commiserated with me. So why do I want to do that? Why do I want to suffer and then continue, and then tell myself I'm totally justified? So I'm saying I'm totally justified in being angry with you because you did these things. But what I'm really saying is I have bought and paid for this suffering, and so I'm going to sit in it. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to just be this way because these people did not treat me right. Why? Because I'm trying to confirm that the world is a dangerous place. Because I'm trying to prove that all these reasons that I'm afraid are correct. And I can prove it to myself. I can prove it to myself, but the problem is that when I prove it to myself, that means I have to stay in a world that is suffering. So here's the deal, that what happens is that when we look out there and we see the world of suffering, many of us are altruistic about it. Many of us want to go out there and help people. We want to get out in the world and contribute and give our share and do whatever we can to make the world a better place. And we may even have, grandiose dreams about becoming some kind of Gandhi figure or something like that. That's probably not the most effective way. Most of the time it ends up just being a fantasy. I mean, yes, we should be helping. We should be helping where we see that help is needed, but the first thing we need to do is change how we're thinking about stuff. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. This is the best reference that I can make concerning this idea. Whatever change that I want to see in the world, I need to make that change in me. It's a cliche already now. Be the change that you want to see. Any change that I want to see in the world, I need to start it with me. And and even that, I just think about it, even that, it can be overwhelming. It can seem like just too big of a task. How do I change all of this thinking that's I've been doing this my whole life? How do I do it? One thought at a time. One thought at a time. These spiritual practices, that I recommend the Course in Miracles, but some people it's not time for the Course in Miracles, it's something else. But the idea is, I need to be reading. I need to be listening to whatever path I'm on. I need to find someone who has done it before me and listen to their experience. I need to immerse myself into whatever it is, because and so what will start to happen is, as soon, and you'll see this happen so many times. You've already seen it happen many times in your life. Somebody joins a new church. Somebody starts this new thing. And then they come tell you about all the stuff. They come and tell you, and they're excited. They're all worked up over it. They're excited, and they want to just tell you all these new things that they're learning. And you'll say something, maybe you used to have certain types of conversations with them, and you'll say something, and they'll correct you. They will say, oh, no, this is what it says here. It says, no, we don't. That's not all that helpful either. But people are excited. What happens at first when we get on a new path is our surface thoughts begin to change. Those thoughts on the very surface, they begin to change. We begin to start speaking differently. We're not really thinking differently on a very deep level, but our thoughts are changing. If we just stay there, it's not going to work and it's not going to last. We're going to find the next new fad. We're going to find it's just like dieting. People who have a tendency to diet, I'm not saying who, will go through 50 million different diets. Every new diet that comes out, it sounds like a good thing. Probably not. Probably not. Effective for a minute and then not. So, we get on a path, if it speaks to our heart, we continue to work on it. We continue to work on it. And it's recommended, really, that don't try to convert people to your new path before you even know what it is. Don't go out there and think, this is, you get zealous, you want to go out there and help everybody. You want to get everybody on board. And some of these paths, that's part of the deal. You're supposed to, right? This is not what Jesus said about it. Jesus said, let your light shine. He didn't say, let your mouth go crazy. Let your light shine. Let people see the example. Let people see the example of the changes in your life. And then they're going to want to know about it. They're going to want to talk to you. They're going to want to ask, what's happening here? What are you doing? Man, you seem so peaceful now. What's happening? This is what we're looking for. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. When I'm thinking about I don't have enough, that's meaningless. What does that mean? We live in an abundant universe. Everything that we could possibly need is here. Yes, I know circumstances occur that we end up in situations sometimes where there really doesn't seem to be enough. But if we change the way we think, we can turn that around. There really is enough. If you look around, there really is enough. And let's talk about this individually. Sometimes we think that we are the victims of a society that kind of promotes that some people have and some people don't have. But we also need to see that we're contributing, that we're going along with the program. So I was at Marianne Williamson's talk one time, and there was a woman in there that said, she said, I look at the world and I see how people are starving and people don't have anything, and I say, how could there be a loving God that would allow this to go on? And Marianne Williamson said, listen, that has a lot more to do with our consciousness than God's consciousness. We have to see that in regards to these things that we see as negative in the world, we are all going along with the program to one extent or another. So the way to break this chain is to know for sure, in regards to poverty and people being hungry, is to know in our hearts that there is enough. That there is enough. And that then allows us to be more generous with whatever resources we have, however limited they may seem at the time. That if each one of us begins, we will be an influence on someone else, and they will be an influence on someone else. And eventually, we will not put up with it. We will just not put up with this kind of a situation. This is what happened. This is actually, I mentioned Gandhi. This is actually what happened. He decided that he was going to change within himself, that he would not allow violence to come forth from him no matter what. This was a decision he made. No matter what, he would not be violent. And he became non-violent. And he wasn't when he was a young man. He was a firebrand. He became non-violent. And then he influenced others, and they became non-violent until they had this huge movement where people were committed that no matter what, they wouldn't be violent. And so they allowed themselves to be beaten in the streets by the British soldiers. They would not fight back, but they just kept coming. They just kept coming. They just kept coming. And what occurred was the world's consciousness saw what was happening, and the opinion changed so radically against the British Empire that they had to quit. They had to stop. They had to say, no, we can't do it anymore. Everybody's mad at us. It was starting to harm commerce, right? So now, unfortunately, it did not last. The movement, the nonviolent movement in India didn't last, and we see now there's a lot of violence there again. But the principle worked. That one person decided he wasn't going to be violent, and he influenced others not to be violent, and it freed a country. Subsequently, mistakes have been made. And why? Why were the mistakes made? Because fear came back in. Fear came back in. Division came back in. We got Hindus and we got Muslims. Well, they've never gotten along. This is the file cabinet of the past. They did get along. When Gandhi was working. Okay, so My meaningless thoughts are showing me any thought of fear, anger, upset, any thought of lack, any thought of any kind of suffering whatsoever is a meaningless thought. It is based on a past that wasn't real anyway. I want to change my thoughts. I want to change my thoughts to thoughts of love. I want to exchange thoughts of fear for thoughts of love. One more, and we're done. You're it. God, disguised as myriad things and playing a game of tag, has kissed you and said, you're it. I mean, you're really it. Now, it does not matter what you believe or feel, for something wonderful, major league wonderful, is someday going to happen. You're it.